A visionary series imagining the battles of the future, foretelling the world of online conflict nearly 30 years ago. From some of the most influential television creators of all time comes a hero for our time, capable of defeating the worst evils given monstrous form that threatened the digital landscape, born from a behind-the-scenes grudge originating in the 70s. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad. Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad, that's Cyber with an S, is a 53-episode live-action television series originally broadcast in the United States from September of 1994 to April of 1995. It is one of the first series to draft on the wave of excitement created by the success of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the year before. Sam Collins is your average teenage rock and rollin' high schooler until one day he is suddenly blasted by a surge of electricity or something originating from his computer during a test run of a new music editing program. His bandmates Sydney and Tanker watch him disappear and then reappear across the room with a mysterious device strapped to his wrist. With much more pressing teenage matters like homework and phone calls, everyone just disregards the incident until it happens a second time, resulting in Sam's entrance into the virtual world within his computer. This time he's alone, but finds himself transformed into a giant armored superhero called Servo, facing off against a towering monster. Because meanwhile, another teenager named Malcolm Frink, in an attempt to get revenge on Sam, who likes the same girl that he likes, has joined forces with an evil artificial intelligence entity called Kilocon. Kilocon's name is a portmanteau of kilometric knowledge base animate human nullity. He's a former military program who calls humans meat things. Kilocon is software as a sentient, determined to destroy all of the security towers which give our world control over the digital realm. Why? Because he craves power, as much as possible, and then a little bit more on top of that. Kilocon needs Malcolm, an artist, to help design monsters which Kilocon will bring to life as megaviruses in the digital realm. The only thing standing between them and total domination of the emerging digital infrastructure around the world is Sam as Servo and his friends on the outside, who eventually join the fight on the inside as well. Servo can combine with other Arsenal programs controlled by his friends and bandmates Sydney, Tanker, and Amp to power up his armor into hybrid upgraded forms. Servo becomes Formo when combined with the Dragon-type program called Drago, and Synchro when combined with the humanoid mecha called Xenon. Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad was a production of Tsuburaya Productions, Ultracom Inc, DIC Productions, and Playmates Toys. Like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the year before, it is an adaptation, a localization of a TV show produced and broadcast in Japan called Denkou Choujin Gridman, or Hyper Agent Gridman. Adaptation and localization are generous descriptions of the process. In this case, as with Power Rangers, little effort is made to directly translate the actual story or characters from the source material. Rather, the intent is to craft a new narrative around existing footage that contains characters covered in head-to-toe costumes that can be redubbed by new actors with ease, which in this case included Matthew Lawrence as Sam Collins and the Tim Curry as Kilocon. Tsuburaya Productions, the company that created the iconic Japanese superhero Ultraman, created Hyper Agent Gridman for Japanese television, where it ran from April of 1993 to January of 1994. It was ideal for repurposing on US television or any other international market, given the virtual realm where the majority of the fight scenes take place. Even Power Rangers had to contend with external fight footage in geographic locations that weren't consistent with architecture and signage in the West. Originally 39 episodes in Japan, Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad was able to stretch Gridman into 53 episodes, which resulted in footage including monster fights being used more than once. In Gridman, the main character, Naoto, merges with Gridman in the virtual world as opposed to Sam, who becomes Servo, a subtle but important difference. Ultracom Inc was the international licensing arm of Tsuburaya Productions, including Gridman. Playmates Toys paid for the series in the US, as well as the acquisition of the toy license, because just like in Japan, the whole show was designed to sell toys. Along with DIC and Pangea Corporation, Playmates redeveloped and renamed the characters to suit their US retail needs. DIC handled the writing and production of the live-action footage that would need to be created to fill the gaps between monster fights. DIC saw what Saban had done with Power Rangers, how easy it was, how inexpensive, how profitable it was to create a show out of a show that already existed. DIC grabbed a Japanese license as fast as they could to beat Saban at his own game and do it cheaper. But Saban wasn't stopping at Power Rangers. Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad would be competing not only with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but another Saban production, VR Troopers. Premiering the same month, made the same way from existing Japanese television shows Superhuman Machine Metalder, Dimensional Warrior Spielbahn, and Space Sheriff Scheider, DIC and Saban were going head-to-head in a corporate grudge match that dated back to the 80s. One of the writers on Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad believes that DIC specifically got into production to spite Saban Productions founder Haim Saban. Beyond the similarity in the production techniques of the show, the original name for the show, Power Boy, had to be changed when it was found to be too similar to Power Rangers. The main character, Zach Jason, had to be changed to Sam Collins when it was clearly too similar to Zach and Jason, the Black and Red Power Rangers, respectively. Those aren't coincidental similarities. They are intentional shots taken in an attempt to skirt legalities and capitalize on or dilute Saban's success. This is bad blood that runs deep.
Crash into the digital world. Megavirus monsters are clobbering Servo! It's Flytor, Tracto, and Boar! Just in time! Quick! Samurais into Xenon! Jam and Torb combine cyber powers as Samurais into Drago! You picked the wrong guys to mess with, you Megavirus maniacs! Deluxe Servo, Deluxe Drago, and Deluxe Xenon! Samurais, for your protection! Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad!
DIC Audiovisual was founded in 1971 by Jean Chalopin as a production division of Radio Luxembourg in France. In 1980, Saban visited DIC's offices and cut a deal with them. Saban and Shuki Levy would compose all the music DIC wanted for free in exchange for the publishing rights to the music. The same lucrative deal Saban would make with other television producers in the years to come. In 1982, DIC established a US operation led by Andy Hayward to translate DIC's productions into English for broadcast in the US. After successes like Inspector Gadget and The Littles from 1983 to 1985, Hayward moved to exert more power within the company. In 1986, Hayward, along with Bear Stearns and Prudential Insurance, executed a leveraged buyout of Jean Chalopin and Radio Luxembourg to the tune of $70 million. Andy Hayward, Bear Stearns, and Prudential ended up with majority ownership of DIC. After the hostile takeover, Chalopin sold the rest of his shares and left to create a new company called Créativité et Développement. The seeds of conflict had been planted. The next round would begin immediately. Burdened with debt after the takeover, Andy Hayward looked to sell off DIC assets to raise cash. Saban approached him with an interest in purchasing the international rights to the DIC library. Haim Saban had a secret investor that he was going to sell those DIC rights to if DIC would first sell to him. DIC sold and Saban immediately flipped his rights to his secret investor, Jean Chalopin. Hayward felt betrayed. Hayward would never have sold the rights to Saban if he had known he was going to sell them back to Chalopin. Saban thought it was just business and walked away with a handsome profit. DIC and Saban Productions, through their musical agreements and other deals over the years, were heavily intertwined. In 1991, DIC sued Saban for damages related to the sales of the rights to Chalopin. Hayward wanted nothing to do with Saban going forward. Ultimately, the two parties settled out of court. It would be a decade before they spoke again. But the resentment on both sides would continue to burn up to and including the run of Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad, a show that was created as a virtual f*** you from one television power executive to another, but also to sell toys. Playmates licensed, imported, and rebranded a whole slew of Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad toys, from non-posable PVC minifigures of Servo, Drago, Xenon, and select kaiju to highly articulated 9-inch figures packed with accessories. There were deluxe transforming versions of Drago and Xenon that can combine with the 9-inch versions of Servo to recreate the Formo and Synchro variations, an assortment of 5-inch versions of Servo, Drago, Xenon, and select kaiju, as well as Kilokon himself. There were full-size roleplay toys like the Digital Communicator, the Dragon Cannon, and the Samurai Sync Sword, and nothing for the human characters created by DIC, because that wasn't the point. New sculpts, new paint, new molds, all of that would have taken too much time and too much money to get to market for the single-season run of the show. Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad was licensed out for all the things: watches, shirts, costumes, storybooks, coloring books, activity books, posters, bubble bath, party supplies, and of course, red-hot pogs. or fun caps, depending on where you're from. Despite its respectable performance, Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad would only last a single season, but would return, sort of, 20 years later, or at least his Japanese counterpart, Gridman, would. Studio Trigger and Tsuburaya Productions brought Gridman back in a 2015 short called Denkou Choujin Gridman, Boys Invent Great Hero. It follows one of the original characters from Gridman as he returns once again to fight against the evil Khan Digifier, aka Kilo Khan, in Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad. The short was shown at Japan Animator Expo and resulted in a 12-episode series just 3 years later in 2018 called SSSS Gridman. The 4 S's a nod to the US version of the franchise, and before you ask, yes, it does kick off the new Gridman shared universe. SSSS Dynazenon is slated to hit Japanese television in 2021. In 1995, a few international markets were lucky enough to get the Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad soundtrack on CD. That same year, Buena Vista Home Video released 6 episodes on VHS. Years later, in 2013, Mill Creek Entertainment released the entire series on DVD. Many of the episodes are available in varying degrees of quality and legality here on YouTube. SSSS Gridman was picked up to be aired as an English dub on Cartoon Network as part of their Adult Swim lineup in January of 2021. Surely SSSS Dynazenon and whatever else gets rolled into the Gridman cinematic universe won't be far behind. In 1996, shortly after Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squad ended its only season, Disney purchased DIC basically by accident when they were purchasing ABC. That same year, Jean Chalopin sold the DIC International Library rights to Fox Kids, a company created by the merger of Fox Children's Network and Saban Entertainment. Chalopin's creativity et development was officially absorbed into Fox Kids as well. And then, funny story, in 2000, Andy Hayward, backed by Bain Capital and Chase Capital Partners, bought DIC back from Disney. Shortly thereafter, in 2004, Hayward bought out Bain Capital and took DIC public. And finally, in 2006, after 20 years, DIC, led by Andy Hayward, bought back the international rights to 20 of DIC's shows from Disney. The same rights that Hayward sold to Saban, that Saban sold to Chalopin in 1986. Disney owned the rights after their 2001 purchase of Saban Entertainment. Legend has it that when all of the fights were over, when the rights were settled, after the money cleared the banks, Hayward's mother, sadly, passed away. Saban reached out to him and attempted reconciliation over tacos. At long last, they had found peace, together through the insatiable hunger of corporate acquisitions and bitter, ruthless fiduciary machinations. Just 2 star-crossed, mega-powerful television executives, friends, sailing the Mediterranean Sea, spending the holidays together in Acapulco on Saban's yacht. There's a lot of alliteration in this video. Really, yeah. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very much to those of you who already are. If you haven't heard, we started a second channel called Toy Galaxy 2. That's TOO. Head over there and subscribe for stuff we don't post here. If you're in the position to help the channel grow, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy or become a YouTube channel member. Please share this video and let us know in the comments down below what your favorite forward 80s or 90s television program is. I'm sure a lot of you will go with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know what my favorite is, but I hate Masters of the Universe for being so difficult to pronounce. I can rattle out a handful of Superhuman Samurai Syber-Squads without mispronouncing it, but give me one Masters of the Universe and suddenly it's verbal spaghetti sauce. Cut.